This conference will now be recorded.
I got 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I get the meeting started, I will just welcome Kurt Meister, our new Community Development Director for the City of Zumbrota. He's contracted through CETA. We welcome Kurt, and I'll give Kurt a little bit time to tell a little background about him.
Well, my name is Kurt Meister. As I said before, thank you. I've officially finished my first week as Community Economic Director at Zumbrota. It's been an amazing week. The staff I work with is an amazing group of people. I came to Zumbrota with a change of career. I taught high school at John Marshall High School in Rochester for 23 years. And entering CETA with the background I had in education, feel like a good fit. It's a learning process, which people have been, everybody's been very cordial with my, I'll say, slow learning process that I have in this situation, but I'm very anxious to get to know the people and the community of Zumbrota much more as I continue on this. I've learned a lot about Zumbrota. It's an amazing community. I'm married. I live in Rochester. I have a son who's actually taller than I am, and he plays basketball for Duluth. I have a daughter who's going to play basketball for the Hoosiers of Indiana, and then I have a younger daughter who's going to be a sophomore in high school at JM. And then my wife and I we see each other a lot, which she's happy about. That's so yeah, I won't take much more of your time, but happy to be a part of the team and continue to see the positive growth of Zumbrota.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, number 2, I believe we don't have any amendments.
Oh, we got at least one on here. Number 3, minutes should say 7/7, not 7/21. Thank you to Kim for that, catching that.
So we just need to approve of that change. Or a motion.
It's just a
Okay.
motion to, adopt the agenda as amended.
Perfect. So I just need a motion to adopt the agenda as changed. Number 3 on the minute should say 7/7 and not 7/21.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll second.
Any further discussions?
Yeah, I've got one more. Sarah's not going to be able to be with us tonight, so we need someone else to review the, oh, you got it, Tina? Good, Tina's all over it. Perfect, thank you. On it. So that will be Hostager under reviewers, not Dermott.
Perfect. Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Look over the minutes from the regular meeting minutes of July 7th, 2022.
Motion that we approve the July 7th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Accounts payable.
Okay.
Tina.
Couple items to note. 77608 was for the 2007 Ford that was purchased, previously approved. 77625 was for GFL Environmental for some plastic disposal, also previously approved. And our other previously approved one was 77631 for the mower for $7,800. The other item of note 77648 for our audit in the amount of $21,000. So if there's no questions on those, I would make a motion that we approve the accounts payable at $108,800.31.
Second that.
Any questions or further discussions on accounts payable? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 400. Thanks, Tina. Public comments. Individuals may address the city council about any item of concern. Speakers must state their name and limit their remarks to 5 minutes. Any public comments? I will close the public comments portion and we'll jump to 7A, unfinished business. Budget information. Kim?
Yeah, well, you have the budget in front of you. We have a few things that we still need to work out. We're going to be meeting next week to put a preliminary EDA and park board budget together. I have some rough numbers in there, and some things that we've been discussing that were discussed at EDA, and we're going to see, put some numbers in there and see how everything goes. We have to add some expenses for flower baskets. I think they were talking a little bit about that program, discussing that. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, yeah. The baskets were coming through a grant for many years, and that grant is kind of slowly dwindling down. So they're looking for some help each year. Kind of a collaborative deal. We're going to give some, EDA is giving some money, downtown businesses are giving some money, just so we can keep that program going. There's still some grant money, so it's kind of a split, between businesses, the city, EDA, and then grant dollars to keep the pots going for many years.
And then we've also the park board has been requesting some additional funding. They've been pretty static for a long time. So
Everybody wants money.
We'll put it in and see where, I'd like to see where it lands, and then remember this, what goes, I need to see where it lands, and then we can make adjustments and move it. But we have been looking at some EDA programs for.
Why is everybody's budget so crazy?
Always. For businesses and to help with the startup costs, so that we can encourage new businesses in our town. So you will see more, of course, every meeting until the end of the year. So.
Yeah, with the EDA, discussing some programming that has been done in other area communities. Kurt's colleagues, I've been talking a little bit about some programs that worked well. They call it programming. It's not the same program every year. There's no set program yet, but we'd like to look at having some dollars there for that type of programming through the EDA to assist our local businesses. That could be rent assistance. It could be any wide variety of things, but I think it's a need, and so we're gonna see what that does to the budget and see how council feels about it.
Question, are there other grants that we're pursuing to replace the one that we're losing for the flower baskets?
No, we haven't discussed that. It'd been so long, but I can't remember what the name was. Do you remember, Mike, what? There was a name that gave money for those.
And the trust?
It was an endowment through the trust, but
But it's through the company. I honestly think there's some avenues we can look at.
yeah, I mean, that's something.
But we just need to put it in the budget as a place.
Sounds good.
Also, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking if any individual citizens want to support them as well.
For sure.
So
Yep.
we can look at different funding mechanisms.
Yep, as a staff, we were talking about maybe funding a few out along here, just individually if we wanted to. So, but yes, we're looking at a couple of those things.
Thank you.
We need a motion for that?
No, I'm sorry, it's
Okay,
just
okay.
information.
What I thought. Thanks, Kim. Any questions for Kim? New business, 8A, proposed parking ordinance amendment. You want to go first, Pat?
I didn't make it for myself. Yeah, share.
So we have some proposed amendments to a parking ordinance to kind of assist us making things a little clearer as to what violations there are for parking. We've had some struggles with certain areas in the community that aren't defined well enough for us to enforce those things. So Sergeant Pasquale had taken the effort to look at that. He'd been actually doing a lot of enforcement, taking a lot of complaints at the time frames that he's working, especially off of West Avenue. And so this is a way for us to, be able to effectively enforce the parking rules. And so, and then we're working with Public Works as well to help get that so that it's easier to enforce. But it's pretty straightforward in my opinion. And then this way, if we have violations, we can cite them administratively rather than through the state, because some of these things aren't, like parking in front of someone's mailbox isn't a state violation, but it sure is paying for the mailman and as well as the person not getting their mail because they decided they're not going to try to fight with a parked car that's blocking the mailboxes. So, but
Have we looked at other parking ordinances from other cities?
Yeah, there are some comparisons in there, but I mean, realistically, for us, we're just kind of modifying what we have.
Yep, and it's based on an influx of complaints in some areas. Tony got to looking at it. He had quite a few of those calls and started looking at the ordinance and thought it could be tightened up a little bit. And I think it's a good idea. So this is effectively a first reading or first look at it. I have to post it for 10 days before you can act on it as a council. So with I can get it posted after tonight, and then we can act on it at the next meeting. Take comments there. It'll be out in the paper. Anybody can come in and make comments, suggestions, whatever, for consideration, and then we can implement it or not at the next council meeting.
I got a question for you, Pat. On that one sentence before it was highlighted, a truck may be parked temporarily for the purpose of loading or unloading when access to premises is not otherwise available. It's going to go back to the Ford dealership, and they park on the streets. Is there a?
Well, I think that's more or less, I mean, that's not for our regular occurrence type of situation. And, those issues that we were having, they weren't necessarily in the street. There were sometimes other places. And, we've had conversations with Ford on that. They've actually are making some changes as to where they're doing their staging. And they'll no longer be staging right near their lot. They'll be staging at their other lot over off of 22nd, on that 22nd Street area. So, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the delivery type of situation. You got we've had trucks that don't have places to park to serve the business customers downtown effectively. And so sometimes they park temporarily in areas that don't necessarily impede the traffic flow. It's not the greatest, but it's not necessarily a problem.
Yeah, on Main Street, right in the middle, they pull up there with a truck for a little bit. And Steve Johnson did a great job addressing it. As soon as the complaints started coming in, we talked to Steve and he made a bunch of changes. They're changing their parking lot now. And so, yeah, they took care of that as soon as we brought it to them. So, but yeah, I think this is more or less, like Pat said, the downtown area where there's no place. They can't get behind those buildings, that alley. And so
And those are really usually very quick stops. They're not extended. They're not half an hour type of situation. So.
Needed to leave that verbiage in there to allow some of that.
Okay. I got a scenario. I live over on Mill Street, and the house I bought, they kept the old curbing even though it's on my neighbor's property. I got this little green Kermit car that I drive around, and I parked that on that skirt. Keeps it mostly off the road, but by this, it'll now be in violation because it's right at my driveway. In fact, my other car is right up next to it. Is there any way that we can delineate that if it's your vehicle or your property, that you can be within that 5 feet or 10 feet?
Yeah, and we're not painting those.
It's what?
So we're not going to paint those that 5 or whatever feet from driveways. That'll be a complaint basis
Okay.
pretty much anyway. So
As far as, driveways and so forth, that's more or less, we can't, say people can't park on a street near a driveway. Unless that curb is painted as a no parking zone.
Sure.
That would be the difference in that. But, blocking someone's driveway, well, that falls under state statute anyway.
Do they use 5 foot or do they, what?
No, I mean, that really has to be, you have to be impeding the ability to pull
Okay.
in and out of that driveway. So if it's sticking out enough where, someone's vehicles could potentially get damaged, and, some people may say, well, I could hit that. It's clearly not within the realm of their driveway. But, blocking someone's driveway, that's a state law, and, there we have the authority to impound the vehicle.
Sure.
If it's in someone's driveway, it's a little bit different. It can be impounded, but usually the homeowner has every right to just call and say, get this car on my driveway.
Right. Okay.
But
Thank you.
it's more or less having to do with some of the no parking zones. So fire hydrants, stop signs, those type of things, anywhere where we're gonna have and granted, I think our school bus situation will change
yes,
essentially next year, so.
Okay.
One more question, if you're the owner of your own driveway or your own mailbox, you should be able to park wherever you want. That's the question.
Well, I should be, but this doesn't tell me I can't. This says, this doesn't give me that option.
I mean, you would get cited, but you could try to stick an exception in there.
I don't know how to word it. I'm not a good wordsmith that way, but that may be a common complaint someone's going to say is I'll park on my skirt if I want to, but with my car somewhat on the road, I am now in this ordinance. And anybody who wants to complain about it could complain, and you would have to follow the ordinance.
Yeah, and those type of complaints usually are generated by the homeowner,
Agreed.
so.
And I'm not looking at this on how it can be followed. I'm looking at it as how someone with a grudge could follow it. So that's.
yep, no, I think that's a good point. I think that's a good point. We should look at a little bit closer at the wording of the driveway one. If this
'Cause I agree with all
statute
that,
doesn't
just
say,
was looking for delineation.
yep. In the mailbox one, you're just not going to get mail, which makes the neighbor mad if you park in front of their mailbox.
Right.
If you park in front of your own mailbox and don't get mail, well, yep.
They really don't.
Well, they just don't deliver.
They just don't deliver it. And at times, they might put a note in their, what I've seen is they'll put a note in the mailbox saying, unable to deliver your mail because the vehicle's parked in front of your mailbox. And we've had a number of them type of complaints, but there's no law that says you can't park in front of your mailbox.
Right.
And sometimes the carrier will come to your door and let you know that there's a car in front of your mailbox, and it better not happen again.
And I assume, and granted, I don't know if we've talked about, what a fine would be for that, but I would probably keep it as the general parking fine, whatever that is.
Yep.
I think it's $25 or something.
Yeah, we weren't going to change any of that. It would still fall back on the schedule, so. But yeah, no, we'll look at the wording a little bit closer and do a little bit more comparison and bring back, before I put it in the paper. We'll get the wording down and then we can discuss it more.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Brian. 8B, Fire Board Update. Do you want to start with it, Tina? Kim, do you want to start with it?
No, we can,
She absolutely does not want to start with it.
I can, yeah, so.
It was a bad meeting. It was a pretty good meeting.
Yep, at the fire board meeting, we were discussing, one of the major things we were discussing is the agreement, the joint powers agreement and how it's structured. Everything from some language on who's responsible for, the building is defined really well, that the district is responsible for any maintenance on the building, all of that good
And the
stuff.
equipment.
And all of the equipment. What's not spelled out in the current agreement is who's responsible for the parking lot, the driveway, the land. Inherently, they're using it and we're not charging any rent for the building. So we said, of course, it's the district responsibility, but it's not spelled out. So it's some contractual stuff that we need to iron out. But we had a great meeting. It was good ideas, just more or less bouncing things around. So we've got to go back and put together a few things, and then we'll meet again and do it again. Hopefully it won't take as long as the last time they redid the agreement. But no, it was a good meeting. Anything else, Steph?
Nope, super productive. I think we're moving forward. I think as time goes on, there's less stuff brought forward. So it's pretty collaborative. Yep.
And the driver's funding mechanism, because there's always questions. about-
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to get the parents the best deal for their constituents. The city is, the townships are. So they had asked for different comparisons with different funding mechanisms, because it's based on ratio of population, land value, property value, and area. And so they've been asking for different ratios to see how that affects it. Of course, they want, of course, township funds pay more because we have a higher population. We don't necessarily have a higher call volume, and we also have better fire suppression services in place. So there's a lot of discussion about that, and I think it's going to be a good, it's a good discussion and.
Yeah. And I think that the takeaway from it was, so in 2016, when we renegotiated this again, and I think everybody was still a little raw from the first time we went through it. I think that, so we just kind of went status quo for the next few years. But I think this fire board's really looking to update and finalize a version that makes sense today and for the next 5 or 6 years, or however long it is before they choose to look at it again.
Anything else on the fire board? Thank you, guys. Reports, Brian.
Yes, we have a date for Jefferson to start, and that is August 15th. Sounds like structures will be here beginning of September. So August 15th, they're going to start at First Street and go to Fifth Street. So that's where the tear out will be. So you're going to start seeing signage there. We will have something to post on the website and the push notification early next week. WH Gas is going to put some wording together for us. And then we'll get that out to everybody through all those different avenues that we've got to communicate.
Ask a question before you-
Yeah.
How far do they think they're going to get for?
We
October, November?
really didn't discuss that, but I'm thinking if they can get to Fifth Street, that's pretty good. Which is going to bring in to question Mill and Sixth and where they're going to be during that, or if we send,
Then nobody's getting to school.
or if we send them to the other end and work the other way, well, we do Mill and Sixth. Those discussions need to take place yet, but once we're moving on this first part, we'll talk some more about that and see what it's looking like. Maybe they can get farther, hopefully. The other update,
Would they be getting it paved this year too, at least one?
I would think it's going to be complete First to Fifth for sure, and hopefully farther.
Okay.
Yep, because they're not going to tear up any sections before winter that they can't deal with. So we're not,
Right, and they don't leave it like gravel.
yeah, we don't require ours to sit for a year before we pave over the top of it. Well, that was a concrete road, so it's a different situation, but. Yep, so. Yeah, I think we're moving when those structures arrive. Town Center Apartments, tenants started moving in on July 15th. And they've been moving in, I think, constantly since. So there's been some every day. And there was some talk at the EDA meeting last night about maybe a community tour or a grand opening of some sort, if they're going to do anything. Waiting to hear back from the developers on that to see if they were going to think of doing anything once everything is paved. And I see the landscaping was going in today.
Yep.
So they're getting closer. They've got a few small things inside. They were approved for the temporary certificate of occupancy, allowing people in there while they button up some finishes, things like that. So once they're all done, we'll see about a tour of some sort or a grand opening or whatever they might be thinking. We've heard great things about the building. We've already had a few people in here that moved in and they are just, it was funny. We had someone talking about the cost and how cheap it was compared to, I think they came from Apple Valley up in the cities and they were thrilled at what they were paying for a brand new place and all the amenities and the community and the people. And so that we like to hear that. We're thinking it's going to generate a lot of registrations for voting, people moving into town. So that'll keep us busy with the election, but that's it.
Perfect. Thanks, Brian. Matt? Chief?
Oh, geez.
Just a couple of things. I just want to give a thank you to Midwest Fabrication. They stopped by last week and wanted to provide the police department a $500 donation toward any equipment or needs that we had. And so we want to thank them for that. And then just a reminder, August 2nd is National Night Out, 5 p.m. to 7, and lots of things going on. And I think it's going to be a really well attended National Night Out where I'm really looking forward to it. Officer Clemenson has done a bang up job getting things organized again and continuing to streamline the process, and a lot of assistance and donations from area businesses and that really help us make it a really good event. So August 2nd, first Tuesday of the month. Looking forward to it. That's all.
Perfect. Thanks, Chief. Kurt, you have anything on your first meeting?
I don't.
Perfect. Thanks, sir. James?
Yeah, I just want to mention, we've had a number of positive comments on the new resurfacing of the parking lot over there. It's, we have a number of handicapped people who actually use the library so on a regular basis. So they've been, really happy that that was done, and it's, so I just wanted to mention that. So thanks to the city for getting that done, and thanks for Mike for putting it together. So.
Thanks, James. Kim?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Olson?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
I have nothing. Tina?
No, nothing tonight.
Bob?
Nothing.
Dirt?
Nothing.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.